Welcome to ISACA Square Tables. And this evening will be hosted by me and co-hosted by Ramzi Al-Nasri. And we will have a guest showing us how to perform data quality with AI. But before that, and also to make sure that I don't forget anything, this Square Table is hosted and organized by ISACA Netherlands chapter, and it's also in collaboration with Noria, the Netherlands internal audit institute. Some house rules first. Please make sure that throughout the call or throughout the Square Table, you have your microphone muted and also your cameras off. And make sure that you appear or you change your name. I can see that most I can identify the names on. So please make sure that you indicate your first and last names so that you can actually score that CPE you're looking for. The CPEs will only be awarded if you're attending for at least 50 minutes. As you know, this is an ISACA rule. This presentation will be recorded and slides will be distributed afterwards. And then we will answer any questions throughout the conversation, throughout the presentation. Well, without further ado, I'll just go through some announcements from the ISACA Netherlands chapter. Please stay tuned and please enroll in the upcoming Square Tables. So we have next one on the 22nd of May, Zero Trust as a Service. 29th of May, AI Beyond the Hype, Opportunities and Risks in Information Security, and 12th of June, SIEM versus SOAR. And we also have the roundtable. So we have one on the 5th of June in Eindhoven. If this will be in Dutch, it's Dora Hacken niet stelen. And on the 10th of June, Utrecht, we'll have as a subject the usage of blockchain. And please already pencil this date on your agenda that we're really looking forward to this event on the 6th of November. I know that it seems like it's very far away, but it will, time runs, as you know, and especially during the sunny summer. On the 6th of November, we will have our risk event, ISACA risk events for the Netherlands chapter at Spant Congress Centrum in Bussum, in Gooi. And we will be very, very happy to see you there. Please make sure that you reserve this date, and then we'll give you more information about the event. Well, and now over to you, Helmi, for you to introduce yourself, and welcome to the Square Tables, and looking forward to hear all about data, because you're the data guy, right?
Thank you. I like the name.
Data guy.
The data guy, okay. Like an IT guy, I don't know if you know this TV series, it's called IT.
Definitely.
Super, excellent. Let me then start sharing my screen. That's the first thing. And also make sure that it's all working good. Please let me know if you hear me properly, and also see my screen.
All fine, Helmi.
All fine, excellent, good stuff. All right, data quality in AI era. That's the topic of what we're going to talk about over the coming about half an hour to 40 minutes. Let's see first the timeline of our today's presentation. So we'll start with what I call the shoes story. Because data quality can actually make or break a family, and I will prove it. Then we look at data quality from an importance point of view and the challenges that we face in the current or the traditional data quality exercises and activities. After that, we look into AI and data quality management. We'll see a bit of introduction, and we look at the roles and how I look at data AI and how it can help in data quality. Then we have some ethics and future considerations we look at for AI and data management and data quality before we go into the Q&A session. For the Q&A, there are stops within my presentation where you see clearly a slide where it says questions. If you have burning questions, I think with the moderators we can do that. Otherwise, you can really look for the slide where it says question, then we can talk about that. All right. But before we do all this, I'd like to introduce myself first. And all people, as normally they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's actually a good saying, but imagine more than one picture. So I've got many here, but right in the middle, this is my family, a son, a daughter, and my wife, Samar, daughter Amira, and son Farouk. In the left to the bottom and middle, there are two cats. They're not mine. They're my family's. I just play with them. And then, of course, the top two pictures to the left, Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. Those are my favorite superhero and my favorite actor ever. And then fish in the a picture of two fish. That's what I fished in Spain, because fishing is also part of my hobbies. And then you see me in two pictures where people behind me are standing on stage, because I also is a hobby public speaking and training, and I'm involved in Toastmaster organization for quite a while now. I'm sure some of you in this call have heard of Toastmasters. And then the top two pictures are maps of where I am originally from, Libya, and a very far east of Libya in a city called Tobruk. And of course, Netherlands now is my home as well. And I have one nationality. So I'm a Libyan and a Dutch, a mix that is, some people would say, is quite dangerous. My victims. So people I actually worked for, not exactly my victims, but I've been around with looking from an oil and gas sector with Shell and Woodside, and the National Oil Corporation in Libya, retail with Nike, Schiphol Aviation, McDermott, Alpha Group as well, and Van Oord, where I am currently working as a data governance specialist, helping the company with the digital transformation. Enough about me. Let's move on now to the shoes story. And this is real story, everyone. That's actually a story happened to me and my wife, very recent. My wife, one evening we were sitting together and she said, Helmi, I really would love to buy a new pair of shoes. Of course, I have to agree. It's not a choice. And so she went online, searched a few sites, and then eventually she found her favorite pair of shoes that she wanted to buy. And what happened, of course, she made an order. So she put all her information. She picked the style, the product, the color, and then she put her information like her name, address, of course, my information, credit card details, and then made that order. And also, so of course, after you make an order, what happens is you actually receive a confirmation. So she received an email with all the confirmation, with everything that she entered in her when she made the order. Now, when you receive such thing, and I'm sure a lot of us here in this call as well made a few online purchases, and you enter a lot of this information. But when you think about it, this information goes to some sort of a database. So I would call this the shoe seller database, where all this information are stored. And so far, so good. So the story so far is happy one, and we are looking forward to receiving this pair of shoes. And then comes the part of the delivery. So a delivery company receives the shoes and all the information, the address, my wife, name, the phone number, and the product. And they sent her an email saying, we have put this into plan and we will send you the product within 3 to 5 days, something like that. Then they started to go south because they delivered to the wrong address. So to our astonishment, the shoes went to the wrong address. Actually, it went to like 3 or 4 blocks away from us. And the people who received this did not accept it, did not take it. They said, we don't know those people and we're not going to take this the package. And so the delivery person took it back and started the process of returning the product, the shoes, to the seller. Of course, we were not happy with that. And we went into, my wife and I, in a very heated discussion. Why? Because I kept asking her, can you check your information? Can you go and check what address you put in? And I kept asking and asking, and then eventually we made 100% sure that what my wife entered in the system was absolutely correct. So what was the problem? After a few calls, we eventually, with the shoe seller company and also the delivery company, we eventually found out that the shoes company sent the wrong information to the delivery company. They did not check before they passed the information on. After a few calls, of course, they want to make us happy, so they couldn't, because what happened now, the product or the shoes went back and we had to make another purchase and they will reimburse us with or refund the previous ones. But eventually, my wife, of course, got the shoes and she was happy. That is the happy end part of the story. There is actually not a happy one as well. And that's me sleeping on the couch after that heated discussion with my wife. Now, you see, if companies do not take care of the quality of the data, this will happen. How important the data, the quality of the data is. Now, probably a lot of you also have seen this image or similar to it, an iceberg with all the problems beneath, and you cannot see, you can see all the nice white stuff above the seawater. In 2022, Gartner, with her research, found out that every year, poor data quality costs organizations an average of $12.9 million USD. That's quite a lot for organizations. And apart from that immediate impact on revenue, over the long distance, poor data quality increases the complexity of data ecosystems, and this will lead definitely to poor decision making. There is another research shows that, and that was from IBM, shows that IBM reported that bad data can cost up to $3 billion USD just in US. There are so many issues that can occur and losses the organization can gain because of the bad data quality. There could be operational losses, because operational losses basically refer to insufficiencies and disruptions that occur within business processes due to poor data quality. This could actually manifest as increased processing time, errors in product delivery, or actually failure also in the production lines. And of course, these issues not only slow down operations, but can also lead to increased cost and customer dissatisfaction. And I absolutely have, with the customer dissatisfaction, I actually have experienced this. That's operational loss. Another loss, of course, we talked a little bit about it already, is the financial loss. These financial losses can come from like inaccurate billing, for example, or compliance penalties, or poor financial forecasting. So high data quality in this case is really crucial for accurate financial reporting and decision making that affects investments, budget allocating, resource management, and many others. But to be honest, everything else can be rectified. I mean, companies lose money, they can put two teams together and work on something, and then probably they will gain the money in a maybe short or long term. That can be reversed. But the challenge and the loss that really difficult and to almost impossible to reverse is the reputation losses. Because reputation of companies are long-term consequences of poor data quality that can wipe out the trust and confidence among customers and partners as well. And that is where it is absolutely challenging then to gain the customer's trust. In my story, I don't trust the company despite, and in fact, of all the emails that sent to my wife apologizing and even sent her voucher, etc. But I will definitely be careful next time I want to do some purchases from them. And that's how important data quality is, not for all organizations. I'm just going to open the chat just in case a few questions here or there. Fantastic. Good. What are the challenges that we face in traditional data quality management? There are a few of those. The challenges, traditional data quality management, normally, we face a lot of really significant challenges that can really hinder the organization's ability to really basically get a great value out of data assets. I'm going to mention a few of these challenges here, but the first one, as you see now in the screen, is volume. The sheer amount of data generated by modern enterprises, I can't crumble any system right now. It's unbelievable. I mean, let's take enterprises away and just look at, if you have a smartwatch, I think a lot of people, or Fitbit or what, see how much data you can gather just from one wrist, and then just project this into how many people and other places that data can come from. Just today, I heard, because of all the ChatGPT, there was a Google conference yesterday also, and they said every day 6 billion images, billion, 9 zeros, images uploaded every day in Google Photos. So volume is definitely going to be a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge for the current quality management processes. The second one is the velocity. Now, we can understand that data comes in big bulks these days, but also comes fast. And the speed at which data is created and needs to be processed normally really outpace the capabilities of what we have now as manual systems for dealing with data quality. And of course, that will lead to delays, and delays lead to losses, and so on. The third challenge is variety. Well, we have a big volume of data. It comes so fast, and just to make it even more challenging, now data comes in numerous forms. Just the text documents now, just the normal text documents, there are so many formats. Just the text. Images, so many formats, different files from different sources, from different systems, structured, unstructured, just overwhelming for sure. And this again makes it really difficult to manage with conventional methods. The last challenge is the manual efforts. Now, with traditional methods, heavily really relying on, let's say, I don't want to say completely manual, some of that is semi-automated right now, but still challenging. That's not going to work with volume, velocity, and variety. And so these factors together really can make the system, a data quality management system, sleep forever. So the traditional way is definitely it's not going to work anymore. And now this is a point where I say, if there are any questions or comments.
Yeah, I have a question, a quick one. Was it on purpose that the iceberg picture had a lot of, let's say, typos in it?
Yes, I did that on purpose, yes.
Okay.
I actually forgot to mention this. Thank you. All right.
It's a good example, Helmy, on quantity is not quality in data, correct?
Indeed, absolutely, indeed. The quality of data, the quantity of data that we receive these days is enormous. Okay? Okay, super. We'll move on. Any more questions and comments will come later. All right, so we just mentioned the shoe story, and I told you data quality can make or break a family. And also we talked a little bit about the data quality, about the importance and the traditional challenges that we have now. And now we are going to move to the AI bit of it. And before I do that, I have this question here. Hopefully, I know it's a long one. I hope you can read it. But I'll read it out anyhow. What possibilities open up when artificial intelligence or AI not only interprets our data, but anticipates our needs before we even identify them? I'd like to open up the floor, and if anyone would like to share a thought or two, there's no right or wrong here. We're just discussing this. So what kind of possibilities? Think about the different sectors. Think about, health, for example. Yeah, or financial, personal user experience, education and training. There is a lot of factors or a lot of domains where sectors can really, this kind of technology can help us. I can share. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Helmy. Yeah, there's somebody that raised your hand. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about your question, and I read an article lately that some hospitals use AI to scan X-rays for anomalies that a doctor takes hours. And in one occasion, AI has shown cancer cells where the doctor has missed them.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility, I think, for the future to see a lot of data.
Absolutely, I agree, because also with AI here, because it was well trained, I understand that it can predict potential health issues by analyzing pattern in the medical data, right? So AI detected that because it was well trained. That's actually a very, very good point indeed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That actually reminds me of something, Helmy.
Yeah.
Because we have indeed the health sector may benefit from these advances in technology, but when they get to, for example, industries like insurance, we can have a perverse effect on that anticipation. Correct? What is your thought? What are your thoughts on that?
If you can wait, because we're going to look at that future and part, the future the consideration and ethical part, and that's a good example for the insurance indeed, and personal information for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm already sabotaging your presentation, but we have Ramsey raising his hand as well.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I wanted to have just a small comment, because just earlier to your presentation, we had that discussion with multiple groups. People currently, unfortunately, when we talk about AI, they only think about generative AI. Yeah. While what you talk about is more before the generative AI. We're talking about machine learning, we're talking about, let's say, analysis using AI. And I just wanted to make that comment that also we're talking about the generic term, not just the Gen AI. What other possibilities I think would affect us quite well? Supply chain management, especially for like supermarkets, or even if we take hospitals, the medicine management is sometimes a problem. One of the biggest one was the COVID and the distribution of the vaccines, for example.
Absolutely.
So I think if we had that capability back then, it would have been made much better.
Absolutely, because in supply chain, with this technology, you can predict the demand and optimize your inventory, your whole operation,
Yep.
Definitely. That's fantastic. Excellent. Okay. Maybe it's time to move on, unless there is another burning question or comment. I don't see any hands up again. Super. All right. So AI in DQ management, and it's a bit of introduction there, because I generated this with AI, so it's ChatGPT, the picture itself. I wanted to imagine the technology as people, but it gave me robotics. And so imagine this team, of robotics, or a team of AIs figures, and they're working on a huge pile of data, because we said the traditional ways they're not going to help us anymore. So we needed something to deal with the huge volume and velocity and variety, etc. So if you can imagine that each these they are not really ordinary robots, robots or robotics. They are imagine them as advanced AI with algorithms personified like that. And they have one mission is to tackle this chaos of data, especially unstructured data, which is the most challenging type. And then as they dive into this, like in the picture, a mountain of data, they look at every number, they look at every letter, every file, every symbol. That is their task. And then with precision and speed, they can sort out everything you see there and organize it in a proper way. Each piece of that data then, once was a part of a mess, they find a really rightful place in a labeled neatly in a file or in a database like that. Because this transformation, what happened isn't just about the order, it's also about making data clean, accessible. Also, we want to talk about that later. And also, of course, ready to be analyzed for strategic purposes and decision-making eventually. So with every file sorted in here, the data becomes a clearer and more valuable asset to the organization, of course, paving the way for insights and drive, of course, decision-making for the future for the business. Also, this kind of technology there, it can offer scalability with AI and machine learning that can offer scalable solutions to the data quality challenges we have. And this when they leverage advanced capability, algorithms capability that adapts and process vast amount, again, we go back to the traditional challenges, amount of data. And these technologies can efficiently scale up to handle this increased data loads without compromising on speed or accuracy. This scalability also ensures that as organization grows, its data processing and processing capability can grow as well. Because when an organization grows, of course, it's more data coming in. So it also makes it efficient, it makes it accurate, and it will help the organization as it moves on. Now, with all that, just as a small introduction there, I believe, and if this is from my vision and my experience, I believe there are three main areas that AI can play a crucial role and help tremendously. I'm going to share those three with you right now. The first one is automating data cleansing and preparation. We'll talk about that in details. The second one is enhancing the data validation and enrich the data as well. The third, last but not least, is real-time data quality monitoring. I believe those are three areas in data quality management where AI can play a massive role and help organization with organizations struggling with their amount of data. Let's take the first one, which is automating data cleansing and preparation. Now, with AI algorithms, they can find a way to help. Let me say that again. AI algorithms improve and enhances, let's say, the way data is managed by automating these tedious processes of data cleansing, normalization, and deduplication. Until not very long ago, so a year or so, most of that work I was doing semi-manual, let's say. It's not automated 100%. It's about 70% where you could do that manually. Even with advanced tools, etc. That is this new AI hype that we are in now. And those systems now, the new ones, can really fast and very smoothly identify and correct errors, standardize data formats, and also remove redundant entries without, or let's say not without a human intervention, but let's say with the minimum human intervention. And these are really simple, and we can leverage those, and I believe AI can play a massive role there. And I can give you a very simple example with data formats. For example, if we take one type, dates. The dates, how it's written, the format in US, not like in Europe, not like in China, not like in Middle East. So imagine a global organization that deals with 3 or 4 different regions. That can be really a tedious manual work to be done. But with AI, this can be done on the fly as well. And this automation not only increases, of course, the efficiency and accuracy of data, how we handle data, but also, and that's the most important, and that's the mindset that what I see normally the confusion with, most importantly, is frees up valuable time of the other, like business analysis, data analysis, to focus on more strategic tasks rather than doing that tedious semi-manual or manual work. AI is not a goal for itself, it's an enabler, as we say. So that's where I see it, number one, in how in automating data cleansing and preparation, where AI can help and what the benefits we can get out of that. And if we bear in mind the volume, the velocity, and the variety of all that, this would be a real winner for the entire for any industry, really. Similarly, to enhancing data validation and enrichment. Now, again, whatever models, AI models, they can enhance the data. That can be used to enhance data validation and enrich the data itself. You could use something, hopefully not very sophisticated AI algorithm that not only detect but also correct inaccuracies and fill in the data points, the gap, or fill in the data points, the missing data points in the data sets. And this enrichment process can have, as we see here, advanced scanning. So AI systems here can go through data sets fast, identify and correct errors, ensuring high level of data accuracy, but also can fill in the gaps. And as I mentioned in my story, when the shoe seller company sent the information to the delivery company, if they had that automated data quality check, I wouldn't have slept on my couch for one evening or maybe 2, bothering the cats. So that gap filling there AI can help tremendously as well there. And of course, when we say data enrichment, we're talking about more than just correcting the data. We're talking about adding useful information that increase the value for data, and of course, eventually for analysis, decision making, and bringing insights. Third role is where we have the real-time monitoring with AI. Now, data moves from sources to staging area sometimes, and eventually ends up in some sort of a platform where it's used for analysis or machine learning use cases, etc. And during that movement, we need some sort of monitoring. Now, AI technologies here can help critical implementing continuous and real-time monitoring and quality control of the data streams or data flows. Because these systems, with AI, they can utilize advanced algorithms to constantly analyze incoming data, immediately identify and address any quality issues. This real-time capabilities make sure that data integrity is maintained, which is essential for operational reliability and accurate analytics later on. And of course, decision-making as it goes. Yeah. So these are the 3 areas where I personally see in data quality, is my opinion and my view on this, where I see how AI can help in managing our data quality or the quality of our data. As we mentioned, the three of them. So the automating data cleansing and preparation, enhancing the data and validation and enrichment, and real-time data quality monitoring. And before I move on, here's another stop if there is any questions or comments, or maybe another use there. Yeah.
I do, Helmi, about data cleansing and preparation. I'm personally very protective of the old school controls, as in data classification. So there is some homework to be done before that, right? Because you need to teach the model how to recognize personal data, for example.
Yes.
And that goes along with way before the automation takes place. So it means that the models will still learn from personal data that we don't have maybe properly classified. Do you have a magical solution for that?
I don't. No, I don't have a magical solution for that. That's for sure. That's actually a good point. Because indeed, when we talk about cleansing and preparation, classification is a huge part of that, for sure. And of course, we need to train the AI data. But this, as I mentioned, is where I see it can help. Of course, there is a pre-work needs to be done in order to fulfill that. And one of them is what you mentioned, Daniela, spot on indeed. I think for that, and we will come maybe we'll probably mention that a bit later. But when we come to that, the more we train is like the example one of the colleagues here mentioned about the health sector and how AI detected a problem in an X-ray that the doctor couldn't. It's because that it was well trained to detect that, and I think this is what we need to do in order then to prepare it for a cleansing and preparation. But that is definitely step number one, actually, as well. Be honest, when I started to prepare for that, I found many other areas where AI can actually help with data quality, of course, with the timing, etc. I just picked those three. But I think we can brainstorm it maybe together, Daniela. All right. Okay, super. All right, then so far, we talked about the shoes stories. We did a bit of introduction and challenges, and then we talked about the role of AI and data quality management and how it can help. We come to the almost very last part of our presentation today. It's ethics and the future, ethical consideration and future directions for AI and data quality management. I think that whatever I would say now, I can be really applied to many other sectors, not only in data quality management, but let's do this here. When you look at the ethical considerations, there are a few words, of course, privacy, transparency, also bias can come along here, and you start wondering, because as AI now becoming, as we speak, I'm sure some of you probably have seen the OpenAI conference a couple of days ago, and yesterday there was Google, and it's becoming just part of our life for everything, really, not only data management or data quality management. So the ethical consideration there, really, it's paramount to be addressed. It's absolutely important. And if we talk about bias, and here we talk about the training the data sets, or the data sets we use for training. Which data sets? Who owns these data sets? Why only this? How diverse we want to be? Because whatever you train the data on, the algorithm or the system, that system you train, will become biased towards that data set. And this is really a massive challenge there. Because also when you look at bias, there's so many types. There is sampling bias, there is historical bias, the algorithm itself by design, it could be biased. So this, I would definitely put it one of the very top, that ethical conundrum needs to be addressed. Privacy, I think You are not, you guys are not very, you are very familiar and of course knowledgeable about that, but the capabilities of AIs to analyze vast amount of data, of course, that raises a significant privacy issues and a robust data protection measures, ensuring that data anonymization especially necessarily are critical. Because when we talk about that, sorry, just those biases, the privacy concerns, we have many places where, let's say, where we can be very concerned. So one of them is data collection. So when you collect data, you need a consent. You need to make sure that the data collected is explicit consent of individuals. Where do you store the data? Encryptions, access control, data, the processing data, anonymization, so removing the personal identifiers, and so on. So how you use it, those are all really points need to be really ethical considerations for the AI to move forward. And last but not least, of course, transparency. Yeah, what they are going to do. First, you need to just to document every detailed records of where data comes from, how it was collected, what happened to it, any transformation. That all needs to be documented, that source. Audit trails as well, logs of data access, processing activities, all this. And not only the data part, but also the system itself, the algorithm itself, transparency. Does developing AI model that can explain their decision-making processes in a way understandable to human? Because this will help user trust the system and verify the system's output. I think I could talk for hours about this, and I'm sure we can have a long discussion about it, but it's definitely something that I personally would take this is a huge challenge for the upcoming few years, especially with AI almost taking over in every sector nowadays. The future. Again, I picked up a few elements there for how the future of DQM with AI. Of course, the possibilities are a lot wider than that, a lot more than that. As in AI technology now continues to evolve, we've seen very lately in every sector. So the future of data quality management also is definitely poised for transformative changes. I think emerging trends will be something, capabilities will be, one of them is predictive data quality management. AI, the systems will not only detect and correct data errors, but also can predict and prevent before they actually occur. And of course, that will require a lot of data sets to train the system on. But this proactive approach will significantly enhance the data reliability and accuracy. The other thing that I think for the future is regulatory compliance. Of course, it's a major concern as well, but AI will play a very important role in ensuring data compliance with the evolving regulatory standards as we speak nowadays. Those automated systems or AI systems will monitor the data flows and ensure that they meet the legal and ethical standards. And this, of course, will help reducing the risk of penalties and violations. And one last thing here with the future for data quality is, because AI nowadays, you know, if you Google AI tools, I'm sure you will find quite a lot. But I think the integration of AI infrastructure in the future, and that will need to be, the integration with whatever organization system will need to be very seamless and soft. Doesn't need a third party, doesn't need an API, doesn't need any other things, just plug and play, automate, enhance your data, all that will be done. And so the integration of AI infrastructure is, I think, something in the future as well. I could mention a few tools and a few technologies that are out there with name of companies, but I normally don't do that. But I know for sure that there are a lot of these organizational companies that work on data governance or data management platforms have those in their sites for sure.
Yeah, that's actually in line with the question. I assume that you read the question on the chat. It comes from Dick. So the question is, what is your personal favorite model to use for data validation and cleansing?
To be honest, I don't know. I worked with certain technologies. I don't have a preferred one, I must say. It really depends on the case. But for data validation and enriching, the one that I have experience with, and it wasn't, that was a couple of years ago, and it wasn't completely AI, but it has some sort of algorithms behind it. It was offered by Informatica. That one, while I was at Nike, it worked pretty well for enhancing and validation, especially for validation. The new ones, to be honest, since then I haven't worked on any of these any of the new tools. But the ones I experienced with Informatica, I'm sure that was a couple of years ago. I'm sure that evolved even further, and all the bugs that we reported at the time would have been sorted out. That's okay. Does that answer the question?
Well, Dick, please let us know if that doesn't answer a question. I think that we have, I'm not sure if it's a comment or a question itself from Jeroen. Shouldn't every AI be integrated with data loss protection rules for configuration, implemented before starting to use it? What do you think, Helmy? Well, this would be the ideal world, right?
Of course. That is definitely would be ideal. I agree with that statement 100%. But of course, then it comes down to the needs of organizations. Of course, also the location, to be honest, of organization can differ, can impact that. But ideally, absolutely needs to be attached to it. That's for sure. I agree with that statement for sure. I haven't seen that in the maybe in the top. Yeah. Okay.
No worries. Don't worry. Ramzi and I are on top of them.
We are almost there anyway. So if there are further questions, okay. One more thing, one more slide I'd like to share with you guys. When we talk about AI, we always talk, because if we talk about innovations. And here, when you adopt AI in a data quality management, that doesn't just mean embracing the technology advancement, but also it involves kind of a balanced approach where you safeguard your data integrity. And for example, here the collaboration and innovation, this is where you're combining human creativity with AI capabilities and precision. Organization here can really explore new frontiers in data management and data quality management. Of course, with ensuring that innovations adhere to established data quality standards. Maintaining equilibrium, this is again, it's very crucial to balance the drive for innovation with the necessity of maintaining data integrity, because ensuring that the data remains accurate, reliable, and secure. Responsibility for AI use, that is also the organization must implement that. When organizations implement AI solution responsibly, they must implement it responsibly. We know that these kind of technologies can really be abused. And so when an organization apply or implement that responsibly, they are making sure that the system is transparent, fair, of course, and need to be compliant with all regulatory standards. With that, we come to the conclusion. of today's talk. Just to give you a quick wrap up here, because today's this what I talked about. I haven't even scratched the surface of that. But we need to remember that the journey to perfect data can be as bumpy as a shopping cart, with a broken wheel. You know that shopping cart? You go to Albert Heijn or Jambo, and the wheel, one of these carts, the wheel isn't working. So you keep pushing, you keep adding stuff, but it's difficult to move. That is how it is if you want to go to perfect data. But imagine a world where every piece of data is like when you find when like your well-fitting shoe. That feeling of just a click into that space. So I'm hoping that, and with all the advancement and with all the research that's happening in AI, we can reach that status in the very near future. And of course, I haven't finished my story yet, because eventually it has a very, very happy ending, because with the when we had the chat with the shoe company and the delivery company, and we found out what the issue is, they compensated us, etc. Of course, I had really a good sleep that evening. And I'll leave you then with that, if there are any further Q&A here.
Yes, actually, Ramzi is very trigger happy on the questions. Just one brief comment, Homi, about the shopping carts. You know that they do it on purpose, right?
I know.
Yeah.
So you cannot take it outside, they're very far away, yes indeed.
No, and there was a study that it said that the person would have to correct the direction of the cart with one hand, leaving the other one free to grab things to put it in the cart. So it was a very mean way of deceiving people, I think.
Manipulating us, you see? Yeah, they apply AI long time ago. We just we are finding out now.
Indeed. Ramzi, do you ask your questions? Maybe.
Yep. I will just do it. So one of the things is, a lot of us here are cybersecurity managers, information security managers, auditors, risk managers. There is multiple roles there. So do you have any steps to evaluate risks related to AI in a company, whether if the company is a consumer of AI or a producer of AI? I think that would be a very good tip to give everyone.
Ramzi, I do apologize. You said what? I had a bit of disconnection there. You said.
Oh yeah. If you have any tips or steps on how to evaluate risks related to AI, the topic is new, so how to evaluate its risks is a good tip to ask for, basically. In general, I mean, when you think about it, if I'm not sure if my voice is clear, so tell me if it's not.
Yeah.
No, but in general, when you think about it, your discussion today was about, and the talk, thank you for it, was about data quality. So imagine if a wrong model was applied, and how much that could affect data quality, or the model is applied in a way very. I could give a real life example. So. One of the chains in the US, that's over 10 years ago, so that's not a new thing. They were doing data analysis on, or let's say data science analysis on their sales, and realized some weird link between pregnancy and buying a certain type of chocolate and a certain type of a fizzy drink. And they started sending discounts for people who had this combination. I'm removing a lot of the details because it has a lot of trademarks, so apologies for that. But this is a real example that happened almost 10 to 12 years ago, and that resulted in a father knowing that his teenage daughter is, for example, pregnant. You can imagine how shocked he had. So the risk back then, of course, there was no regulation. It was outside of the EU, that was in the US. Mm-hmm. Now we have the AI Act coming in before end of the year. Mm-hmm. So it's important to advise our companies on, okay, you can use the AI it's going to have benefits, but how we can even evaluate the risks? I know it's a very broad question, but if you
Yeah.
have something in mind, that would be great.
Yeah, of course, evaluating risk with AI is essential when you want to use it. Yeah, and so if I take this very generic approach, I think when you are faced with any risk, the first thing you need to do is identify that potential risk, right? So you need to be aware of it. So you need to assess maybe like a technical risk, for example. Yeah, assess the potential for errors, failures maybe in the system. Consider maybe the robustness of the algorithm itself or reliability of it. Could be ethical risk as well. We talked about that as well. That's another risk you need to identify. Legal risk, operation risk. So I think there are a few risks there where companies need to look into and see. They need to consider and see it. After they identify that risk, they need to do some kind of assessment. All right. So they conduct a thorough risk assessment on these identified risks, and out of that assessment, of course, will come the mitigation. So after you assess that. So I mean, if I go like is identify what I call conduct assessment, and then you do the implementation of that mitigation strategies that you worked on. Of course, with all that, you need to keep. I think that's probably is a key tip here. Is you keep your stakeholders engaged all the time with this. And eventually, once you do that and you learn, you will have your own kind of a risk assessment framework, and if the company doesn't have it already. So I would say that, and especially with AI, I would really, if let's face it, it's kind of a fairly new, and it's a lot happening in that area. So I would really seek also expertise to do that. So that's my take, Ramzi.
I think for the sake of time, maybe we give the floor to the other questions, Daniela.
Sure. I don't think I can find any on the chat. Does anybody want to raise a hand and unmute yourself to ask any question?
Comment maybe, Ivan, something that maybe people liked.
I think we have a question, if I'm not mistaken, from Steen Bakers. How to prove usage? Can you see that one, Daniela?
No, but the weird thing is that my chat feed is being it has a bit of a lag. So
okay,
I only
then maybe I'll help you with reading that one. How to prove usage is regulatory compliance in every tool. Otherwise, should there be disclaimers for usage? Quality seal of products, a solution for regulating AI, manufacturers in progress, for example. And by the way, if you would like to, Jeroen, if you would like to unmute and maybe explain further, that's also possible.
Okay, because I can't see the question, and otherwise, maybe I'm trying to look at the chat, but
I repasted the question just in case for any reason it was not showing. It's not easily readable. It says how to prove usage is regulatory compliance in every tool, and between brackets. Otherwise, should there be disclaimers for usage, for example? And then quality seal of products, a solution for self-regulation, AI manufacturers in progress, and a question mark. So it's a bit of a multifaceted one. So how to prove the compliance, and is it a way that we have just a self-regulation and a seal? Maybe that would bring it up to the two questions.
Yeah, proving regulatory compliance in every AI tool and ensuring that AI products adhere to established standards is crucial for building trust and avoiding legal and ethical issues. Steps to achieve this and consideration for quality seals as potential solution. Okay, well, to prove regulatory compliance, I mean, for any compliance, I think what you need, I would start with really documenting, comprehensive documentation of that, and the transparency and reporting. And so, for example, if you maintain detailed records of, because I'm talking about the data here, but if you maintain detailed records of how data is collected, processed, and used by AI or the AI tool here, that would be one thing, is to prove you are compliant. This, of course, documentation of the algorithm itself, the data sources, any process after that, those all need to be documented. And again, publishing transparency reports that can help or outline the AI system, how you design the system itself, its objectives, what the limitation of it, the compliance measures that you put in there. So these reports can help provide some kind of proving regulatory compliance. That's not exactly my water here. I'm thinking out loud. The rest of the question also. I think that's my take there. Is in terms of proving the regulatory compliance, I would go for the documentation, or comprehensive documentation and transparency, and of course auditing. I would say regulatory audits that will help. Regular audits that will help. You could also bring a third-party assessment where it could assess the tool that you have. A third-party, normally auditors, to provide kind of independent verification of compliance or that evaluation of this will add to the credibility and credibility. Again, this will add credibility to the compliance claims or proof for the compliance. I think I said many words with compliance, and I won't be, but I'm happy to reply in email if that's okay. If it's not clear what I mentioned here.
Thank you, Helmy. Actually, I have one more question, but being aware of the time, maybe to wrap it up, of course, you just mentioned compliance, but also something that, well, the control functions would like to hear that compliance system. But and you have proven experience of that is cost savings, which is a very interesting or very attractive expression for the leadership, for example. How can we use AI systems sustainably, considering that they also have related costs in terms of data processing? How do you manage that communication with the leadership? That is, how to manage the costs and the benefits of using these systems.
All right, I'm not going to talk about AI only here, because this is can be applied to any. When you talk to leadership and you want to introduce something new, of course they will ask about how much it costs. But if you deviate that communication or that conversation from how much it costs to how much it brings, so show the value of whatever you want to introduce there, show how it helped the organization from a value perspective, you can have them as your cheerleader for the entire process then. So try my advice here, you show the cost, that's fine, but you need to show and prove the value. Without that, it will be very difficult to get the buy-in.
Thank you, Helmy. I don't think there are any other questions. Ramzi, do you have any other questions?
No, I have a lot of questions. The topic is very interesting, Helmy. Thank you so much. But
indeed,
for the sake of time, we're already 4 minutes overdue. So I will maybe send you that questions privately.
Well,
thank you.
A cup of coffee also will do.
Helmy, this was a very insightful session. You did not disappoint. You exceeded expectations, and we have a lot of takeaways this evening. Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you everyone for attending. And well, see you on the 22nd.
Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your evening.